Hello, I am Jake Collins, and this is Knightmare Series 7, Episode 12, which was first broadcast on the 26th of November, 1993. It sometimes strikes me how awkward it is that they've spent all the time and effort creating this new opening sequence, and the Dungeoneer now has the wrong helmet. Serves them right for making a stupid new opening sequence for Series 6 and a stupid new helmet for Series 7. I was somewhat praising this opening with Tregard and the coins and the information he gives us last time. One thing that annoys me about it is sometimes he overuses their task on this level, survival. He doesn't actually do it here with Julie, Helen, Sam and Helen from Leek in Staffordshire. I had to check this. I thought he might say Julie is in the descendant device to level 3 where her task will be survival, but he doesn't actually say it on this occasion. However, there are other occasions where he claims that the team's task on this level is survival, and I say, no it isn't, they've got something more specific to do. It worked pretty well the first time, which was with Nicola's team. They were in a tight spot, a temporal disruption, probably about to die, and Tregard's doom-laden opening assessment of their task on this level, survival, worked very well there. But then after that, when he keeps reusing it, where their task will be survival, I think, no, come on, that's not saying anything this time. For the third time, I'm talking about a winning team in their winning episode. And unlike with the two Bens, this time it is because I rate the team as an all-time most brilliant team who really deserved to win. Well, they're 4 girls, aren't they? They're not going to have had any help from Tim Child along the way, and they haven't. They win entirely on their own merits. They've had a couple of difficult decisions in clue rooms, but they've used what clues they've been able to find and made the right decisions. And they're going to do the same thing here in level 3, and thus become the only all-girl team ever to win. Tim Child won't be too bothered if they don't win, will he? He's got Barry and team waiting in the wings to be this season's winners. But at the same time, as we haven't had a winner so far this series and we are getting towards the closing stages, he graciously decides to let the 4 girls win if they really earn it. And thank goodness they do. Oh dear, here he is, Mr. Can't Improvise for Toffee, Grimaldi and Anthony Donovan. Unusually, he actually recognises Julie here after having met her before. When he met Simon and Alex in the sewers of Goth, he didn't recognise either of them, despite the fact that he'd met both of them before. That's something in favour of this Grimaldian scene anyway. I do dislike it when characters have met Dungeoneers before and don't seem to recognise them. And of course, Grimaldian's setting up here the Archenshield business, which helps to create a nice final scene with Lord Fear. I've always found the Archenshield interesting. It's got the Triskelion symbol with 3 legs on it. I saw a documentary once after watching this episode for the first time in 1993 that told me it was the symbol for the Isle of Man. Grimaldian and Brolican don't come from the Isle of Man, do they? They come from Cornwall. Grimoldine says here, you will know when you see it. Yes, okay, it's easy to spot the pieces of the Archangel. You will know how to activate it. Well, of course, that's all Anthony Donovan is capable of saying. You will know, shut up now, I've finished my lines. But it's not just a case of knowing how to activate it. They actually have to work that out quickly and excitingly in a pretty tense final scene. Some classic, brilliant Knightmare moments to come. Even here in Series 7, which I completely ripped to pieces last time. A good team, a good, exciting, long quest can make up for a lot of problems with the actual makeup of the series, and Julie's team does make up for it in that way. They're my favourite team ever, they really are. They do some excellent teamwork, thoroughly deserving of their win. Really the only winning team who I would say don't get any help and hurrying along at all. Because of course, as we know, Tim Child's never going to help girls win, is he? The advisors have very clearly defined roles. They perform them well. Helen in the yellow, feeding information to Sam in the middle, which she then relays to Julie effectively, like in the trial by Spikes. The other Helen with the black jumper is the only potentially slightly weak link in the team. She tends to panic unnecessarily sometimes and has to be calmed down, but that doesn't matter at all in the end. She's on the ball as well and plays her part, and together the four of them make an excellent team. Julie's an excellent dungeoneer as well, with her interactions, like in the Getting Sylvester Hands drunk scene. That's an all-time classic. Brilliant stuff. I have nothing but praise for Julie, Helen, Sam, and Helen. Here we have the continuation of an overriding plot from Series 6 with Lord Fear and Greystag. Greystag wants revenge on Lord Fear for destroying Witchhaven, and that plot is being woven very nicely into the quest itself here, which works very well. I always found this Lord Fear and Greystag rivalry, tentatively trying to make some kind of a deal, an alliance, and then becoming bitter enemies, quite interesting. What would have been even more interesting is if that overriding plot had continued into Series 8, and we'd seen Greystag in something of a position of power and actually able to cause some kind of problems for Lord Fear. Unfortunately, while we do see that progression with the same two actors, it's Maldormay in that position of power rather than Greystag. A bit of a shame, that, and a bit of a disservice to Greystag as a character. But I do enjoy her in Series 6 and 7 while she is around. I was talking about the Radio Times back on a Series 5 commentary. I did find the listings for Knightmare in the Radio Times during the programme's final 4 series quite useful. In Series 6 they had little snippets of cast, which I found quite interesting. I never would have realised that our Wok was Mark Knight with makeup if the Radio Times hadn't told me. I wouldn't have discovered that for 7 years until I first went on the internet and read the Knightmare website and forum in 1999. When Knightmare Series 7 was about to start, the Radio Times said something like fantasy adventure game show with Hugo Myatt and Jackie Suarez. I thought, oh goodness me, is Treguard going to be joined by some sort of woman instead of Pickle? And, as it turned out, that's exactly what happened. Not that Majida being a woman is a problem in itself, but the kind of dynamic that exists between Treguard and Majida is, as I said, something of a problem for me. They don't have to have such a bickering, antagonistic relationship. This spell is quite interesting. Grow Me. It's the only Knightmare spell that's multiple words. Of course, I'm not counting stupid Knightmare VR pick-me-up. It's just like Grow Me, except there isn't a gap between the grow and the me. 2 words, 1 spell. And Julie becomes one of several dungeoneers to change size in order to accomplish what she needs to accomplish. To continue her quest, reaching up to get the high piece of Archenshield in this case. Another interesting thing is, that is the last time Dispel is used on Knightmare. Any spells that are cast in future are going to stay cast. Here's Play Your Cards Right, or as A Listings magazine or newspaper referred to it at some point, the Cards of Chaos. Paul McIntosh picked this up and put it in the eye shield, and I thought, where did he get that from? The Cards of Chaos. It's Play Your Cards Right. But then I did see the listing at one point and thought, oh, I guess it was supposed to be called that sometime in some quarters. Oh dear, of course, we're using sight magic again. Julie can't do this without being able to see? Of course she could. It's a good puzzle, this. It's a good level 3 puzzle. Like I was saying about the Trial by Spikes, it is reminiscent of some of Knightmare's earlier puzzles. Footwork and brainwork, and playing cards. There were plenty of those hanging around, particularly in Series 2, as part of the Knightmare Challenge, and here they are in Series 7. I like it when I get those little reminders of the early days. I liked it when I was 10, particularly as we have lost things like the original helmet, the original music pictures, the original door noise, the original life force clock. And look at that. Without any trouble, Julie's now got further than anyone else has in this series. Helen, Sam and Helen know what to do when the hearts run out, unlike some people. 8 to 8. 8 of hearts, 8 of clubs. It seems that it doesn't matter what you pick on the last one, the 10 of clubs or the Joker. With that hard choice of what to do when the hearts run out, you've actually cracked the whole thing. As Barry says later in the series, Joker normally means a wild card, so it can't be the wrong one in the sequence. And the 10 of clubs matches the 8 of clubs. So I don't think there's anything suspicious or bad to watch about either card being correct on the end there. Bit like level 3 itself, really. It's the least complicated bit of the whole quest. But it's also the most tense bit because it comes right at the end. Oh dear, here's the Brolican again. not knowing the answers to his questions. He wants to know what Sylvester Hand's favourite drink is. Ale. Maybe Brolican's going to go off and try and make friends with Sylvester Hands now by plying him with ale. Well, I'm sure that will work. When I first watched this when I was 10, I really hadn't realised the significance of how far the girls have got here. Not just any sword, says Tragar. The sword. Oh my goodness, I thought. We're about to see an all-girl team win. There's a novelty. I must admit, I didn't realise what they were supposed to do. Look at the writing up there in the corner, Archon, and work out to spellcast it. As I said, it creates a very nice moment of Knightmare tension. Are they going to perish on the very brink of victory while Julie's actually holding the sword? Or are they going to work out what to do? Yes, in the nick of time, it seems to come to all of them. Spellcasting. Arken. Phew, looks like they're going to win after all. An excellent final villain encounter there. Very tense scene. Classic Knightmare moments. Great stuff. This getting out of the dungeon business with a return spell is new for this series. I guess it works okay. Julie needs a return. Links back into Greystag, call Gwen, use the information they got earlier and link into that overriding plot, which I like. So I have no objection to this scene, this return spell scenario. It is kind of another deviation from classic Knightmare. Before, once you've defeated the final villain or done the final task and got the quest object, that's it. You can come back somehow, be it by magic or running through some dwarf tunnels, and then you've won. Fantastic. The little extra challenge of the return spell. Something new for Series 7 and not too objectionable, but just a little objectionable to me. Julie was asked in an interview with the Quest Knightmare Adventurers Club newsletter, what do you think Sidris did to Lord Fear for her revenge? Obviously meaning Greystag in this scene. We'll never know, will we? Nothing permanent, but something that made Greystag feel better, undoubtedly. You can see during the closing credits of this episode a lot of extra celebration from the girls at this point. They really are genuinely elated to have won, and unlike really any other team, they show it quite freely, openly and engagingly on screen, which is another thing in Julie's team's favour. Audris is in the antechamber this time to give the trophies, which is nicer than just being seen on the screen. Of course, he's not really in it, is he? He's superimposed. Bit of a shame, that. You don't get that kind of cosy camaraderie feeling that you got with Merlin handing everyone their symbols of victory at the end of Dickens' quest. Maybe he's not superimposed in that shot after they actually get the trophies, so perhaps he did pop in for a while. I hope so. And now, of course, it's the start of Barry's quest. The more I've watched Barry over the past 30 years, the less I've liked him. His engaging style of dungeoneering gets increasingly annoying, and he's not even that good at it. He gets lost and tongue-tied and makes horribly awkward conversations. It doesn't achieve the effect he's going for at all. I like Derek. He's characterful and spunky, but much less annoying. I think he'd have made a much better dungeoneer. And he does make a very good advisor. The other two advisors? Well, it's lucky for them that Derek's there. Of course, what's the best way for Tim Child to mitigate a fantastically exciting first ever all-girl win? Follow it up immediately with an all-boy win. That is something new and exciting for the very end of the series. The team with their final task, getting hold of the troll hammer, defeating Bulstrode, the king of the trolls, actually win the game in the process. I wasn't expecting that back when I was 10, particularly coming hot on the heels of a winning team. So when Knightmare can excite us, take us by surprise, in that first important watch-through, and leave us feeling, wow, Knightmare's great, it certainly achieved its goals, and deserves praise for doing so. You can tell from this scene with Brother Strange how awkward Barry's conversations are going to be with the characters. They're interrupting each other. Barry's trying to run away as soon as Brother Strange turns up. I like the way Clifford Barry makes one of the advisors, Derek of course, come up with the proverb he's going to accept, rather than just letting Barry do everything. Don't count your chickens before they're hatched. That was the one I thought of, actually, first off. I'd been read the story behind it, or a possible origin story behind it, in assembly at school, and I thought it was a good proverb. Of course, the whole thing with Brother Strange and his proverb collection gets continued in Series 8, which is quite a nice bit of continuity. Although when they start to make too much of a joke of it, I think that's rather unduly mean to Brother Strange and not particularly funny or entertaining, like much of Series 8, really. Barry's a smart bottom. Yes, Majida. Far too much of one. The cast for this episode is quite correct. However, you'll see it again on the next episode. They accidentally put on this episode's cast instead of the correct cast for episode 13 of Series 7. What an excellent way to screw up the 100th episode of Knightmare. Put the wrong cast on it. It should go Tregard, Majida, Lord Fear, Lizard, Romana, Sylvester Hans, Grimoldine, Smirkanov, Sidrus. But it doesn't. Thank you for listening to this episode commentary. Join me again next time as I brave the dross to talk about Knightmare Series 8, Episode 1.